Hi, babes. So, if you have already guessed it by now from my last video, I am officially moving to New York. Oh my God, so many emotions, so many feelings that I'm feeling right now. And I would say the two biggest feelings that I have right now are excitement, but also fear. I know that the fear is coming from a place of the unknown and not quite knowing what life will be like. Will it be what I think it'll be like? Will it look completely different from what I imagine for myself, etc.? And this is just my anxieties talking because I don't know. I don't know. I don't live there yet. I don't have the experience. As far as this move, I'll be officially living there for 6 months, possibly longer, but to start, it will be 6 months. I have spent about 2.5 months in New York before, and that was last summer. So I'll go into that in a little bit. But yeah, and then excitement, obviously, because we're about to experience something new and quite literally something that I have been manifesting for so long. So I'm going to get into all that and more in this video. Okay, so like I mentioned, I am moving there for 6 months to start, and that is because I've landed a new job and have signed a contract for 6 months. Now, you probably are wondering, why would I go out there just for 6 months, all the way from LA to New York? Like I said earlier, New York has been something I've been working towards for a very long time. And honestly, when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, oh my God, like it's here. And yeah, like I shared, there's a lot of fear into this move, but not fear because I don't want to do it. I'm scared to do it. Not at all. And something I told one of my best friends was that, like, how can I be scared right now when I literally did this to myself? And by that, I mean, I have spent so many years talking about living in New York, about envisioning a life there. So many years putting it on my vision board. I didn't know what that would look like or how it would come about, but it's something that I very much, felt that was going to happen one day. After being offered the opportunity, I couldn't help but rethink back to every single time or any memory I have of manifesting this move. And this time last year, I had just gone through a huge breakup and I was desperate to leave LA. I just needed change. When you go through a big breakup, like all you crave is change. And I didn't know what kind of change I needed or what, but in that moment, I felt, let me ask my job, who is currently based in Los Angeles, but also has a base in New York, to see if I can transfer to the New York office. There was a talk about it, and unfortunately, there was not a permanent transfer available for me. But they did send me over at the end of May through the beginning of July. So I got about 6 weeks in New York and got the sense of somewhat living there, because I was there obviously for a long period of time, but also I was commuting to work. I was doing the regular life things, but in a new city. So it gave me a sense of it, but of course I didn't get the permanent transfer. Now I'm here a year later with the opportunity to move out there. And honestly, I think this came about at the time and the place that it needed to, and in a way that it needed to. So earlier this year, I had a very, very tragic start to the year and a very hard time the first few months of this year. And that is because at the start of the new year, if you remember, in Los Angeles, there were fires going on. Now, this didn't affect me directly, but being a resident of Los Angeles, I was in clouds of smoke, and during that time, I was volunteering my time to help those who were affected by the fires. A week later, my mom got really sick out of nowhere and was immediately put into the ICU. She spent about 2.5 weeks in there. And that last week that she was in the hospital, I was laid off from my job. This was a job that I loved and that I very much enjoyed, that I felt like I thrived in. And at one point, it was a dream to work there. I was laid off as a result of a huge company layoff, unfortunately. And then 2 days after my layoff, my mom passed away. So all of this happened within the month of January. Recalling this gets me emotional because I can't even believe that all of that was happening to me. It's crazy because the year before in therapy, I talked a lot about the anxiety of losing my job because it was a job that I loved and it was a job that gave me a lot of security and that made me feel valued. I obviously worked through all that, and when I was finally faced with the reality of actually losing my job, that was so minuscule. That was so little in comparison to the reality that I was living of spending weeks in the hospital hoping for my mom to get better. And unfortunately, not getting the result that we wanted. So in that moment, I couldn't help but be grateful for the layoff because it allowed me to solely focus on my family, on grieving, on just taking care of me and my loved ones without feeling like I need to get back to work. So my perspective very much shifted because of the reality I was living. Then came February, which was just as hard. Celebrated my mom's first birthday without her here. And planned her entire funeral service. And after the funeral services, life felt very stuck and stagnant and just hard. Redundant, and I felt lost, obviously. I wasn't spending much time in Los Angeles anymore. And that was by choice because I felt like I needed to be surrounded by my family and the people who love me and who were also experiencing this loss. So I was spending a lot of time in San Diego as opposed to here in Los Angeles. Then March came around, and at the end of March, I turned 29. I went on a solo trip to New York, where I got to spend some time with some of my friends who live there and also spend some time alone. And these were all firsts for me after my mom's passing. It was my first trip without her here. It was my first birthday without her here. It was a lot of firsts. But I will say that the solo trip very much brought me back to life a bit and reminded me of the life that I enjoy and the life that I have created for myself, and just got me back to socializing and allowing myself to spend time with the people that I love and doing the things that I love. So after the trip, when I got back to Los Angeles, I started spending more time in LA again, And I was slowly getting back to myself, while obviously actively grieving, as I still am, and I think will forever be. But yeah, so being back in my own space and in some sort of routine kind of brought me back to me. Then in April, I purchased this camera, and I started my YouTube channel. Something that I always wanted to do since I was a teenager. I grew up on YouTube and consuming so much. I learned how to do my makeup on YouTube, just learned a lot of life things on YouTube. So, as a consumer, I always dreamt and talked about making a channel, documenting my own life experiences, just never did. And I think with the loss of my mom, she was so great at documenting. She consistently posted on TikTok, which I loved. And even outside of posting, going through her phone and her camera roll after she passed, she had so many memories documented. And I just admired that. And it was a reminder of when it's your time and you're gone, all of these memories are still here for your loved ones to hold on to. So I think that motivated me to finally start this channel, and look at it as documenting for myself, but also for my loved ones. A few weeks after starting my YouTube channel in April, I received an email from who used to be my old boss at my previous job. And in this email, he mentioned that he had a friend who was looking for a certain person to hire for a certain role. This role was very similar to what I was doing at my previous job. So he recommended me. And if I was interested and I was ready to start working again, that the offer to connect was there. So, of course, I accepted to connect with this said friend. I went into it very open-minded and not expecting any specific outcome, but more so for the experience of interviewing again, because I hadn't interviewed in over 2.5 years. So that's kind of how I went into it. Not thinking much of it. If the opportunity came, I was grateful for it. If it didn't come, it was an experience. As time went by, I kept progressing further into the interview process until I finally made it to the last round, which was meeting the team in person. And that is what I documented in the 48 hours in New York City vlog that I posted last. And if you saw that video through the end, then you saw that I mentioned that the job was offered. And at that point, I wasn't sure if I was going to accept because of so many things. And the biggest one just being it's across the country and I'm leaving my family, my loved ones, everything that I know for a job and an experience. So honestly, when I was offered the job, I let them know that I was going to get back to them because I needed time to think about it. Of course, it's a huge move. I'm moving from Los Angeles to New York. And for a job that is a 6-month contract, immediately my nerves shot up, and I kept walking around my family's house being like, I'm scared. And it's funny, thinking about it now. And it was funny then too, but I genuinely was scared. I think now as time continues to move forward, I am more so excited. And so of course I accepted the offer. I made my pros and cons list, and my pros list was of course a lot longer than my cons. And after talking to my support system, my loved ones, everybody was so supportive. And just reflecting on the start of the year and what I've got going on right now, I felt like it was necessary, and that if an opportunity like this came out of the blue for me, where I didn't even seek it, it felt like it was for me. And things kept playing out in a very aligned way to where I couldn't say no, to where I couldn't say that this wasn't meant for me. Even down to the pay. I had to negotiate the pay because the original pay that was offered was not quite what I wanted. So even down to that being approved was just like, okay, things are working out in the way that I need. So I think this is mine. I think this is for me. So I accepted, and after that, I just felt like I had to continue and move forward with faith. Because, of course, after accepting the offer, now comes finding a place to live, moving out of my Los Angeles apartment, decide whether or not I'm going to let go of this apartment for good. And yeah, just a lot of change. But as you guys can see behind me is a pile of clothes and storage boxes. That is because I've already begun packing, and I've been vlogging the process. So I'm excited because I will be having a whole moving across the country series. So documenting all of this, whether to encourage somebody to do the same or even just as documentation for myself and my loved ones to see in the future. So now we're here in May. While I'm recording this, I am 3 weeks away from officially being in New York City, 2 weeks from needing to move out of my apartment. And yeah, time is going by so fast. But like I said, as time keeps going, and we get closer to the date of leaving, I'm getting much more excited and less scared. Yesterday, I officially locked down a place in Brooklyn, so I will be a Brooklyn girly for the next 6 months. And then we'll see what happens after those 6 months. Will I stay in New York City? Will I come back to LA? I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this takes me and what kind of life and reality I'm able to build within the next 6 months, within the next month. Honestly, I think I mentioned in the previous vlog too, this was such a reminder of how quick life can change without a warning. And a reminder to enjoy the life that you live right now and enjoy the process of getting to where you want to be. Because one day you'll look back and miss that. So anyway, I think this video has gone long enough. I intended this video to be an announcement to say I am moving to New York City, but I figured I'd sit down and also chat about myself a little bit because I have been saying I'm gonna record a video to tell you guys about my story, and there's so much more to tell. There's so much, but I caught you guys up on what the first 6 months of this year has looked like for me. And now I'm excited to bring you guys along for the next 6 months to round out the end of 2025. So I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys can keep up with me through the moving vlog series, through all my other vlogs, and if you want to keep up with me in real time, you can follow me on my socials. On Instagram, it's at Abby Boulevard, all spelled out. And on TikTok, I'm also at Abby Boulevard, but ABBYBLVD. I have that all listed down in the description bar. But yeah, so here's to new beginnings and to walking in faith. And I'll catch you guys in the moving vlogs. Bye.